What's up? So, what does circuit try? If you're trying circuits, trying to make estimates to try to make circuits, what does that have to do with trying to make little businesses? What does that have to do with trying to make little infinite energy corresponding little circuitry systems? Infinite energy systems that correspond to energy that is rampant, energy that is abundant in the universe. So being able to try to connect the mindset to be able to do this. Welcome to the news, by the way. Welcome to the news. Stay till the end to find out how this circuit trying by making little engines, by making little circuitry, little engine attempts, which is similar to making little engines that are able to take abundant energy from the universe, from the elements of the life, from elements that are all around us, from charges that are within all of our space and around us, and life that is everywhere around ourselves, to be able to make little energy engines around us, to be able to take the elements, to be able to correspond them, to be able to connect them, to be able to line them, to be able to make electricity, to be able to get electricity to turn into monetary energy, to turn in then to philanthropy energy, to make this type of a process on an ongoing cyclical basis for Dink Tech Change for Game Studios is the process where we're able to start to try to generate monetary energy, to be able to then develop the new type of energy, which is from this thin air energy system, which is a closed circuit system, which is also known as an infinite energy generator. Stay till the end to be able to find out how we're able to take these little conversion engines and then try to be able to aggregate them together and then position them together to be able to make systems to correspond to different countries that all link together, that have circuitry, that have wires that connect to every country in the world, to be able to develop philanthropy energy as a circuitry development of an infinite energy infinite energy development diagram circuitry system. Yeah, so stay till the end to be able to figure out how it's going to align. So the next phase, the next stage, the next focus in this podcast is to be able to try to flow into the fast forward segment of the first element, forward, back to the forwardness of to getting to the forward front part of this podcast, which in essence is slowing down time. That is right. We're able to jump through time a little bit by leveraging the mindset in this podcast, because in essence, you're able to slow down time. If you're able to leverage investing in this way that we're talking about in the podcast today, in essence, you're able to slow down time, because more or less there's different elements of different businesses and different aspects of investing in business and conceptualization revolving around entrepreneurship combined with investing, because in essence, there is not really like one without the other. You can't necessarily do entrepreneurship without being an investor necessarily, because you are investing all of your resources, your time, your energy, your efforts on a day-to-day basis. So that therefore, by proxy, makes you an investor, so to speak, in the same or similar regard. By being able to trek into the future and being able to outline through the essence of time a corresponding ability to be able to try to leverage the essence of creation into the future, and laying down the tracks into the future, and laying down and trying to look as far as possible into the future, laying down a line of sight that corresponds to the horizon, that is the farthest distance that you could possibly see in a mental, in a metaphysical, in a meta sense of the word, so that in essence you're able to try to be able to look forward and toss your vision as far forward as possible. And the essence and the purpose of doing that is to be able to slow down time. The difference is of trying to build a business super quick, which there's a lot of tools today to be able to actually accelerate that process. Obviously, that's a luxury for sure, but in the typical, traditional, consistent, past, thorough, tried and true, proven methodology that corresponds to businesses and also investing, for the most part, is having a long-term strategy, more or less having a long-term vision, a long-term alignment, a long-term energy that aligns with that long-term vision as well, and a long-term frequency, because that in essence slows down time. It makes the pieces that are moving in essence slow down, as though you're like walking through space in essence, and there's different pieces that are floating next to you, and they're floating at a certain speed more or less, and the further out in time that you put your little goals and your focuses and your items that you need to be able to piece things together, it's similar to being able to have them float slower, so that in essence you have the ability to learn. You can go to your computer, you can slow things down. Time is moving very slowly around you in essence, if the timeline is long in essence, and that correspondence is able to like also help you to be able to develop new skills, to be able to develop new engineering skills, to be able to like think of all of these different parts and pieces that are flying in the air, like in space in essence, as you're walking down the street, and you have all these different parts and pieces in this little methodical mindset example where you're in essence trying to build a business at the same time of time, at the same rate and frame of time as time is moving forward in essence. But if you have a long timeline, if you have 10 years, 20 years, for example, to be able to try to do something, then time slows down. All these pieces that are floating around you are almost on pause. They're going very slowly, in other words. So you can take time away. You can go learn new skills. You can sit at the computer. You can learn new skills. You can learn how to build engines. You can learn what different frequencies are able to correspond with each other. You can do research to be able to make different aspects of patterns, of pattern connection, of pattern connectivity, and ability to be able to cross-hatch and cross-flow different energies, to be able to develop different energy systems and different conceptual processes that are able to correspond to chemistry, to be able to align with the different energy flow, to try to be able to develop engines in entrepreneurship, to be able to make monetary energy flow as the gas, in essence, for these engines, to be able to try to add value to the world. And the essence of adding value to the world is also adding value by solving problems and developing philanthropy energy, thereby by proxy. So at the same time, what you want to do is be able to slow time down so these parts move as slowly as possible, as opposed to try to build something super fast in a couple days, or what people tend to not think of is how the essence of changing the dynamic and just focusing on the present moment makes it like trying to drop a bunch of parts from the sky and then basically build an engine before they hit the ground in real time with gravity at the fast rate that it is, and then everything becomes almost impossible at that rate. So it's kind of like those two different dynamics working against each other, being able to try to use time to have that research and like develop a slow-moving long-term goals, so that in essence you have the ability to check back and forth, and then therefore try to teach yourself to become an engineer. It's kind of necessary, and this is sort of like also the essence of today's podcast, in essence the message of the future of today's economy, the future of the creator economy. At the same time, the creator economy in the future causes everybody more or less in the world to try to become engineers, because in essence all of the essence of business corresponds to monetary energy, and that is the foundation, and that is the bottom end process of business is monetary energy. So that therefore makes everybody need to be sort of like an engineer, to be able to focus on how monetary energy is an influence of the greater system, to be able to influence and impact the greater system and all the other parts and pieces that are impacted and influenced by monetary energy, and then build backwards the processes to be able to combine different energies and flows for that monetary energy to flow through in today's day and age, and the tools that are happening in the marketplace, and the unfolding of differing tools and differing energies and different systems that come about on a day-to-day basis, more or less, and are unfolding at the same rate and frame rate of nature, more or less. But if you still have long-term goals, more or less, you can still align with your long-term goals and focus on doing those long-term goals, and it's possible that those long-term goals could happen in shorter time frames because of certain tools that can make them happen in a faster time frame. But nonetheless, you still have the ability to be able to slow things down, especially if you have long-term investing goals and long-term entrepreneurship building goals, more or less. You can have the ability to slow down time, because you have to then learn how to be an engineer to be able to put the tools together and then have them all conceptually connect. But that is also the purpose of having the tools, to be able to teach you how to do those tools at the same time. And that sort of leads into the example of being an engineer, learning how to be able to cross-hatch energy like a polymath. You have to become a polymath in the future economy, in the future creator economy. It's necessary to become a polymath. Polymath means is like a different example of different frequencies, because there's different mathematics corresponding to different frequencies. Different frequencies are like different paradigms. So you have to be able to feel out and be able to be comfortable holding different frequencies, different paradigms, being able to connect the dots and align different aspects of different parts of life, to be able to try them out and try out different elements, to be able to make different new chemistries, to be able to make people taste these new chemistries, like developing something in a kitchen and having them taste it, so that seeing and trying and testing out different loops and different frequency loops, to be able to connect that with monetary energy to see if people embrace it. And then in similar fashion, people just either buy it or they don't. In essence, it's trying to make sales. You're just trying to make sales after all. In essence, more or less. But one of the advantages to the AI age, one of the essences, one of the elements as we continue to try to move towards the robot age, where there in essence is more of a connectivity of the mindset, where humans are in essence kind of like robots to begin with, since we all are kind of like a computer aligned, our brains in essence, and there's almost like a predictability to how we're able to act or know how we're going to act in certain situations, more or less to a certain extent, to where that is almost defining like the type of robot that we are to a certain extent. But then at the same time, we have these artificial intelligence tools, and we also have things like augmented reality glasses, for example. So as opposed to even needing to like download information through artificial intelligence directly to our minds, if we had like augmented reality glasses, for example, that's like a certain element of like virtual reality, whereas it connects also virtual reality and physical reality to be able to connect the essence of the artificial intelligence connection that corresponds to artificial intelligence, where you're able to speak directly into questions that correspond to getting direct answers, just like using a calculator that's built into your glasses, more or less and that's the essence of using basically artificial intelligence at today's day and age, by being able to use it as a research tool, by building it into your process. So it's almost like you've uploaded the information by having almost something like augmented reality glasses. It's similar to having something uploaded already into your consciousness. Basically, all of the artificial intelligence, you're absorbing it by being able to just have it right there available, for example, in your phone, and or augmented reality glasses, for example. So this information is readily available to be able to contribute to your processes, and it's already installed more or less. So it contributes to your speed. So you speed up and then you slow down time at the same time. So you increase speed in time. And so that's how time also slows down in another fashion, by being able to go faster in today's day and age. So you're slowing down the process of needing to complete things nonetheless, because you have faster tools and you're able to slow down time by having longer term goals, more or less, as opposed to the hectic way and format of entrepreneurship, by waiting till things are hectic and then just trying to put things together sloppily at the last second necessarily, and then, hoping for the best. And it's just very strange. But nonetheless, there's something positive about that as well. Typically it's not realistically frequent that things work out in the frantic sense, where things are just trying to be made at the last second for no reason, or just based on in a pinch. But nonetheless, that is actually, it's a careless, typically, process to be able to try to do things, and it doesn't always tend to reflect kindly upon people's taste buds, typically. But then there's the essence of the accident of whimsy, where in essence, so typically that's a failed process, because you need to do things too fast and they're too rushed and it's too hurried and it's too lacking in charisma and quality and enthusiasm and experience for people to like it. Typically, because it's just hard. But on the flip side of that, the other aspect of circuitry, which is informed by some aspects of engineering, some aspects of direction, and also philanthropy energy. Because if you're trying to solve problems, that is an item to be able to help solve problems in the fastest way possible and be able to make businesses in the hurriedest way possible. So on the flip side of this coin, we're going to be able to try to just put together the fastest businesses possible in the fastest way possible by connecting the essence of whimsy and the essence of mistakes and the essence of accidents with the essence of circuitry. And the essence of circuitry corresponds to trying to connect different circuits, and in essence doing that by trying to leverage high cost returns with low cost outputs, in essence, doing five $100 tries to be able to spend a total of $500 in essence on Fiverr to be able to cause $5 actions at 100 of them. So $105 actions at $500 total to be able to try to sell something where the commission one time is equal to $500. For example, that's one example of how to try to be able to develop these high turnover frequency rate of unknown type of engines that can be just based upon circuit trying, because in essence sometimes some people on the flip side try to have too long-term of ambitions, they don't necessarily end up following through. So that's why you gotta have a little bit of a hedge. You have this dichotomy, this a little bit of opposition, where we're trying to make little small, tiny little tests that are also scalable conceivably in this day and age, where you're able to leverage some of the tools that are available to make some of these smaller engines that are infinite energy engines, smaller little infinite energy engines that we're talking about creating with monetary energy, that are little cycles that you could do with just try to connect the circuits in the circuitry, which actually is some people in marketing call it an A/B test, because you're just trying to test the circuits. You're trying to test the circuitry of people's responsiveness and receptivity to see if they'll act or react, in essence, so you can leverage that data to be able to try to develop a more fluid experience for people to care. But after all, to be able to just make little engines, to be able to just try little tries, that all corresponds to greater education, to be able to develop a longer, slow process where you're able to add that little data to a longer, slow process anyways, where you can become a better engineer. Everybody in the future is necessary to be able to become an engineer. But don't worry, because at the same time, using just a phone, leveraging just using a phone, and existing as a human being is also being an engineer. Because every sense in your body, every sense that people are using on a day-to-day basis, they are engineers, because they're navigating the essences of life. The essence of life is all corresponding to different aspects and different fabrics of energy. That is all life is comprised of, is different energies that are working together in different ways. So the essence of that, and the essence of being able to be an engineer and making different energy correspond and connect and weave together, combined with science and more research and more connectivity in understanding more biology and more research and more aspects of how energy conceptually connects with each other and has conceptual relationships and connectivities based upon research in different varying fields. That's like being a polymath, because you're doing math from understanding energy, frequency, understandings from different layers and different frequency understandings from different angles, from different people teaching it from different angles. YouTube is a great, potential source to be able to find different sources as well, to become a polymath, to be able to develop your own synthetic energies in the longer term by doing continuous, consistent research. And then at the same time, on the short term, being able to try to continue to experiment in your garage with little short-term experiments for trying to make little infinite energy generators that are also, in this corresponding instance, for Dink Tech Change for Games, Dink Tech Change for Game Studios, that's the name of our company and brand. We're trying to directly make these little electricity infinite energy generators in our garage, more or less by just tinkering and trying to do these little $5 experiments so that we can, in essence, start to translate that into monetary energy, to translate that into philanthropy energy, because the whole world is meant to best run, and the economy and the whole globe and the world and the future of our company to be able to start to add value to the global philanthropy energy grid. The global philanthropy energy grid is our long-term ambitious ability to be able to try to piece little pieces together. So we're trying to do little experiments to be able to put the things together to develop little and electricity generating infinite energy generators in the form of little e-commerce shops, and trying out different products and such things, and also little digital products and such things, by being part of the creator economy, by synthesizing different aspects of different marketing methodologies and energies, and leveraging the concept of engineering in this fashion by developing the fabrics of the unique natures and energies in nature, to be able to connect them, to be able to try to develop new aspects of demand, to be able to find new market products, to be able to weave these new energies into new fabrics, to be able to develop new elements of new infinite energy generation, to be able to translate that into perpetual philanthropy energy so the world can benefit for the future, so that everybody starts to be able to care about each other and starts to be able to do good deeds for each other, which starts to be able to also correspond to global philanthropy energy grid, the global philanthropy energy grid, to be able to build that. That's our long-term ambition. That's our long-term goal. That's what makes things slow, that's what's allowed us to be slow, to be able to develop that process slow. And this podcast has even been pretty darn slow at the same time, even though I'm talking fast. It's taken a long time just to piece it together in a certain respect. And so, nonetheless, as we continue to try to make our little miniature infinite energy generators a little bit at a time, monetary energy generators, electricity generators, philanthropy energy generators, all at the same time. We're trying to piece these together, little pieces together, to be able to try to make little flickers, little sparks, to be able to send that all into the future, as long as term as possible, as perpetual as possible into the future, so we can continue to make a pathway and a runway for ourselves, to be able to continue to try to add value to the world, to be able to continue to solve problems, to attempt to be part of that side of the solution, to be able to continue to add value by adding philanthropy energy to the world and the global philanthropy energy grid. And so that is how we're able to spark these little tries, these circuits of infinite energy generators, to be able to solve the world's problems. And thanks for staying to the end. Thanks, Dink Tech, bye, peace, bye. Dink Tech Change for Games, Dink Tech Change for Game Studios, bye, peace, bye.